Tell us what's happening in the papers.
The headlines, the news is the news. It's never been it's been a like back to back, and it doesn't look like we'll be slowing down anytime soon. The Daily Graphic Weekend Special, back in the day, Daily Graphic Weekend Special have like culture story, visit places story. But this time around, government deploys troops to quell Nkwanta violence. That's the big story on Daily Graphic Weekend Special. Also on page 13, but headline on the front page, party supporters disrupt Ablekumanot coalition. Guess what? Again. And that's the big stories on the Daily Graphic Weekend Special front page. The back page, Daily Graphic Sports, can Bojigrin spark a Black Queens revival? And that comes with a photograph of the new Black Queens coach Kim Last Bojigrin. And it will be interesting how he fares with the senior national women's team of the country. And let's move straight to the Spectator, your weekend companion, they call it. Check your land registration title, story on page 19, 20, and 21. Let's teach family values in schools, also on page 5. And the big story here, or the big editorial piece here, affirmative action on course as president nominates 7 women for ministerial positions. And these are the big stories on the Spectator and the Daily Graphic Weekend Special.
Okay, I have the Mirror, Ghana's most popular weekend paper. Excessive red meat, eggs can cause gout. And I think we mentioned this last week, Sunday. Yeah, with Mr. Hansen. Green lights and white letters inside President Mahama's early appointments. Stop engaging drug addicts for waste disposal. That's an MD, Kokma, saying that to its people. And then there are pictures of models showcasing stunning outfits. Other stories you'll find on the back page, they're shining a spotlight on Barnabas Age. He's a Ghanaian sprinter, and he's making waves in the world of athletics.
So let me move to ChannelOneNews.com. Big story here. EC accuses NDC organizer of leading attack on headquarters. You remember that story early yesterday, where some people attacked or besieged the offices, the regional office of the EC. Also here, President John Mahama appoints Victoria Hardcastle as acting CEO of Petroleum Commission. Also here, Mahama to submit final ministerial nominees to Parliament on January 20th. Edward Bauer appointed acting GNPC CEO. Heritage Caravan 2025 officially sold out as excitement peaks. Some more story. EC resumes Ablekumanot Parliamentary Results Coalition today, and Ablekumanot Coalition suspected NDC supporters ransack EC office. Agbogbolo, she scrap dealers, onion sellers reclaim sites 4 years after demolition. That's a story we're earlier discussing. Also here, Mahama has been speaking. He says escalating terrorism in Sahel requires collective action. Sami Jenfi to head PMMC, and that's an appointment made by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Construction Chamber urges Agboja to prioritize private sector engagement, and also here prioritize bridging rural-urban education gap to leave a lasting legacy. EduWatch to government. And finally, presidency debunks claims of a third batch of ministerial nominations. And to some rather unfortunate stories, gunmen ambush military escorted vehicle in Baku. That story broke yesterday. And of course, in Kantamanto, a lot of donation has been ongoing, right? The latest to add on to that donation, or donations really, is the former vice president. And it's always very weird adding former to himself and his boss, because we've been so used to them in the last 8 years. Former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia donates roofing sheets to support market reconstruction. But this particular story is shocking, because we've heard the Ghana National Fire Service say that they should halt construction, right? No, but I think their call is fair.
It is fair, so that they could probably sit down with you and
strategize
and properly plot where this should be, where that should be. But they've already started. They're doing their own thing.
But in whose interest? Because when you do it like that again,
It might
31st December 2025, we'll go back. There's a trend. There's a trend. No, and you see, when they even met the former president, the president said it. He said, see, when he was president, he had to deal with it. And you could clearly tell that in some of them, they are not natural occurrences, obviously. And they are not even like accidental. They are sort of, planned. Arsons are behind it. So the point is that people have whatever interest.
Right.
For each reason they want to burn, So it's important that you properly, in my opinion, do a proper layout, plan, put in place necessary emergency exits, fire service, all of those
hydrants
things.
And
all of those things. So
are there hydrants in Ghana?
There should, of course, there are. There should be some.
I haven't seen.
Oh, there'll be hydrants around. My point is that plan properly, right, in the reconstruction, so that we are able to minimize the effect of some of these things.
But all they're thinking about really is, getting back all that they lost. So I think to them it's an annoyance to have to wait for the Ghana National Fire Service to come and sit down with their
so you wait for the government,
leaders.
Right? And of course, we understand that it's land owned by traditional authorities. We don't know, but all of those
funny
things,
we haven't heard from them
since.
I'm
sure they'll strike again.
Their threats.
Yeah, but the point is that it's the livelihoods of people we are talking about, right?
Definitely.
If you keep them at home for too long, what are they, it puts them in a very difficult position. So,
January is school fees month,
My point is that we need a proper plan. It can't be business as usual. It can't be right. So we'll see. I expected the government to take it up very seriously. There's a new trade minister. I expect that one of her priority starting in a new role, of course, is to ensure the proper settling in of these new traders. Go out to them, meet them, listen to them. That's Honorable Elizabeth Ofosejare, MP4.
But does that fall under her purview?
She's trade minister or trade minister designate.
Yeah.
So she'll be responsible for the traders. Everything trade falls under her. Kantamanto traders, will be a group she'll be dealing with a lot. Guta and all of them. So I expect that, in the coming days, she has some level of engagement with them. Of course, the president has met with the leadership of the Kantamanto traders and of course Guta, right? So I think that she would also have to meet with them. At the time the president met with them, we didn't know who the trade minister was going to be, but now we know, pending parliamentary vetting by the appointments committee. So she would have to meet with them, set out the priority areas, and also possibly look at concerns around the reconstruction of the market.
Definitely. That all comes after she's been approved, though. But let me give you citynewsroom.com. Some of the stories you'll find. No fire incidents near Akosombo Dam. That's according to the Ghana National Fire Service. Ghana on high alert over rising respiratory infections in China. You've heard of that one, haven't you? HPMV. That's the newest release from China. Ashanti region, devastating fire displaces residents in Nimamoke. EC accuses NDC regional organizer of leading Ablekuma North collation chaos. Ablekuma North, EC demands arrest of NDC supporters for vandalism. Police restore calm in Nkwanta after deadly clashes. You mentioned this. Victoria Hardcastle appointed acting CEO of Petroleum Commission. Mahama to release final list of ministers January 20. Mahama appoints Edward Bauer as acting CEO of GNPC. Heritage Caravan 2025 officially sold out as excitement peaks. Some of the trending stories you'll find. Over 1,400 students inducted into Ghana School of Law. Our very own Umari Sandamadu is here. He's yesterday I called him an inductee into the Ghana School of Law. Congratulations to all 1,400 of them. IMF warns Trump's plans could backfire on the U.S. GCB Bank temporarily closes Nkwanta branch over disturbances. Calbank PLC appoints Johnson Owari as deputy MD. Those are some of the stories. Do you have any open that we can start?
Let me just delve into the big story on the Daily Graphic Weekend Special. Government deploys troops to quell Nkwanta violence. The government, a story by Kester Eburam Kranche, reads, the government has responded swiftly to the renewed violence in in Kwanta in the OT region by deploying a combined team of police and military personnel to restore calm. Additional troops were also sent yesterday to enforce law and order after the conflict, which has already resulted in the deaths of 3 persons and injured 2 others. According to the acting spokesperson for the president, John Dramani Mahama, Felix Kwachi Ofosu, the government was committed to ensuring the safety of all residents. The government's response is to prevent further escalation of the violence. The clashes are believed to have stemmed from a long-standing chieftaincy dispute, according to Mr. Kwachi Ofosu. On the Nkwanta clashes, believed to stem from a chieftaincy dispute, a combined team of police and military personnel has been quickly deployed to restore calm. He said the Ghana News Agency quoted the Nkwanta South Municipal Crime Officer, Assistant Superintendent of Police Lawrence Wiafe, as confirming the disturbing violent attacks, but said calm had been restored with beefing up of security in the enclave. The violence in Nkwanta is not an isolated incident. In October 2023, clashes between rival factions resulted in the deaths of over 15 people, with many sustaining injuries. The dispute is rooted in a disagreement over performance of ritual rites before the celebration of the annual Yam Festival. Despite efforts to broker peace, including the signing of agreements by traditional leaders, tensions have persisted. And the story goes on to say, finally, the latest outbreak of violence has raised concerns about the ability of the factions to coexist peacefully. Wow. You know, there's also a story here. U.S. in readiness for Trump's second inauguration on Monday. And for the first time in many years, we understand that the inauguration will take place indoor due to very extreme temperatures. Yeah.
Anytime they've done it, I wonder how they're able to withstand the cold.
Yeah,
you see them talking, and then there's
this time I understand. And I mean, for security concerns and everything in a build-up.
Jumpers. He doesn't want a repeat of what happened to happen again.
But talking about the U.S., right? I got to follow what they call the Senate confirmation hearings, what we call here the vetting of the ministerial nominees. So the Secretary of Defense, which is the equivalent to the Minister of Defense, was vetted. The Attorney General, Pamela Bondi, I believe, their Secretary of Defense, Pete Haxett. You know, I feel like, of course, America is not a perfect society, right? Their democracy far advanced than ours. They are going to their 60th transition. We are only at our 5th one, you know. So, but the point is that there's a lot more we can learn from them. And I'm watching the hearings, the quality of the questionings, even from both sides. And what even amazes me a lot is that your own people even ask you the hardest questions. And
that, as it should be.
You know, Bagana, you know, I'm watching what was happening, you know, with Ato Forsens. You know, yeah, of course. Mahama Yarga came in with some really important questions here and there. His own people tried to ask him. But it's like, you have a chairman who's also a little bit overbearing, minority also wanting to do their own thing. Sometimes, you know, it feels very all over the place, right? With what we do over here. You know, the minority pushing, you know, Apenyo marking in the mix, so many things ongoing, right? But I feel like we can learn from what happens in the US Senate, where, you know, everybody's given an allocated time. Ask the most pressing questions you want to ask, no unnecessary interjections, no obstructions. And I think it will be better for us as a people and as a democracy if we are able to, you know, at least learn or go the way they do theirs. You know, they ask very tough questions. You know, on personal life, capability, understanding of the job, your qualifications. You know, I don't want to use the show to talk about it, but
I mean, I get your point. I get your point. I get your point. But let's come back to Ghana. Right here, Kole Klote. So the PRO, the office in the Kole Klote Assembly, Mr. Neo Forikwe, he's asked traders and households within the municipality to stop using the services of drug addicts to dispose of refuse. He said those drug addicts ended up littering public spaces in the municipality, particularly around the Circle interchange, and were therefore not fit to undertake those services. Mr. Quay said many of the addicts were only interested in the monetary benefits, but were not in the right frame of mind to properly dispose of the waste they collected. In an interview with the Mirror, after a special exercise in and around the Kwame Nkrumah interchange by a task force of the Kokma on Thursday, Mr. Quay said, "We have prosecuted a number of the addicts for littering indiscriminately after collecting refuse from traders or households." So essentially, they take it and then go and dump it somewhere else. They don't take it to the appropriate space.
But that's the problem. Why are you prosecuting an addict? He clearly needs help. He doesn't need. You see, there's a problem with is it justice delivery? Maybe that, and also our reformation. You know, the guy's an addict.
Yeah.
So what does it tell you on the
He needs help.
He needs help. He doesn't need to further be burdened by, putting him in a very difficult situation by whatever punishment you are going to get meted out to him.
Yeah.
The question is, what are the social structures in place to help deal with people or societal misfits in quotes, right? I'm not sure misfits is the word, but people who need help in society, right? And that's why there's a whole conversation around decriminalizing suicide and all of that. Because when somebody finds themselves in a situation like that, the least you want to do is to want to punish them for their I get that in this particular story, the punishment is for their littering.
Yeah.
Right? But they go and take the job. They take the garbage job because they need money to go and buy the drugs and the things that they use. Right? So, and it's become a survival instinct mode for them.
Stole my wiper end.
Yeah.
At Circle.
Yeah.
Because I refused to give him money. And he stole my wiper end. He just took it.
It was sometimes it's easy to see
and
these things. Why you're a victim?
I was like, the wiper end is like, it will be like 50 cedis.
That's a lot of money.
It's like 100 and something cedis. I remember that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Since then, Circle, under.
No way. But the point is that they need help. They don't need punishment.
No, they need help. But you see, once again, it calls into question how we pay attention or how we take mental health and these kind of situations seriously. We need more education on our mental health. I know the mental health authority is doing the best that they can, but I think they need more education.
Yeah, Charlie, addiction is a very terrible place to be in.
Yeah.
I've heard people share their stories, and it can be anything. And it's you wouldn't know until you've been there before.
Yeah.
So
alcohol, drugs, even prescription drugs, people get addicted to it.
We need proper societal structures.
Yeah.
A proper way to, and maybe the gender ministry, I don't know who is responsible, right? But government should pay attention to those people.
Yeah.
Right? How a country cares for all of those people tells the kind of leadership we have. So I'll be hoping that this new government, they have a lot to do, but they need to pay attention to ways to go about some of these things. But still on the Daily Graphic Weekend Special, page 13, party supporters disrupt Ablekuma North coalition again. Some irate party supporters went on the rampage yesterday morning and vandalized the Greater Accra Regional Office of the Electoral Commission in protest against the delayed collation of the Ablekuma North constituency results. During the disruption, liver blades and other materials in the various offices of the EC were destroyed by angry supporters who stormed the building about an hour and a half after the scheduled completion of the collation process amid threats. At the time of the incident, security personnel who were deployed to the EC office had left upon briefing that the coalition would no longer hold. The security personnel present were outnumbered by the furious supporters who vandalized everything in sight. After the attack, the protesters hinted that they were heading to the EC head office. No arrest was made as the helpless security men watched the party supporters exit the premises of the Greater Accra Regional Office. I'm not sure about the police response, but if you look at where the police headquarters is, the number of police stations within the enclave, and the fact that they couldn't go in time to stop them, I'm not sure. People have said that the police have taken an indifferent stand since the new government came. I'm not sure about that
I'm not
either,
sure
right?
about that.
Yeah.
I don't know whether there was no communication between the EC and the police, because if you listen to our colleague Charles Osukumi yesterday, he was saying that so when he got to the EC office around 8:30-ish yesterday, he realized that there were no barricades or extra police presence per usual, because he's been going there. And no one actually checked his card. So they have a special ID card that you show that you're coming in for the collation process. And there was none of that
happened.
So he was, you know, skeptical. So when he went in, he climbed upstairs, tried to open the collation door, but it was locked. And then he saw other journalists sitting on the corridor. And he went to sit by them, and they were talking about how there was no police presence, and because it's 8 and it's locked, are they even sure the thing will be coming on? And then they heard footsteps coming up.
Just like that.
Just like that. They just heard a lot of footsteps climbing up the stairs, and the first thing they told them is gather your equipment and leave. And then said when they picked up their stuff, they picked one of the chairs and started vandalizing the property.
Yeah, you know, for the police to be caught off guard like that also doesn't send a right signal, right?
So I'm thinking, did all those about 40 or so guys walk through the...
And do we know for a fact that these are NDC sympathizers?
So according to Charles, they were mentioning the NDC PC's name, that if not her, then there's no one, her name has escaped.
So that we know that then by that they are party sympathizers, NDC party sympathizers.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, the graphic story doesn't state which party they belong to.
Yeah.
But the point is that, you know, both parties, especially the ruling government, need to call their supporters to order. I think the president,
he's done
that, but it hasn't been with the same verve and energy he would have if he was in opposition. You know, by now they would have done like 3 press conferences already at the Raka office. You know, so they need to call their supporters to order. It's very important. Yeah. And of course the police too. Some believe that they've been on the fence too much for whatever reason, we don't know. You know, but it can't be business as usual. They need to. You can't be caught off guard like that. No, it's not proper. What if somebody was inside and the person was attacked? Would they have now come out with statements and things? And I've not even heard from the police.
No.
Since the incident.
No. But so, the EC has written. They have a video available for the police to do their investigation.
Yeah, so we'll be watching. The police can't be idle. They need to, you know, they can't be caught off guard. That is actually my point.
Right. So
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But of course, if you are watching your party sympathizer, you all have interest, right? But it's not about what you want. It's about the ultimate will of the Ghanaian people. So I think we should go through the process. Let's allow for the coalition to be done and concluded. You know, who would have thought after coalition, Elikpi Makurugu would have been declared winner in Dome Kwabenya, considering the historical, you know. So let's trust in the EC to do their job, their constitutionally mandated job, and let's stop this whole violence, attacks, you know, vile political rhetoric, threats. It doesn't help anyone, really. And I expect the ruling government to lead by example, call the people to order.
Definitely.